says she's feeling much better and she'd like to stay here in London and she sent you her love.
Oh. Hello and welcome back to the Shallow Proclamation. Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Shallow Proclamation. I'm Thomas, and I'm joined by...
Oh dear. I'm Paul.
And we're watching The War Machines Part 4. Is there anything we need to know about this, Paul?
Not really, it's just the final episode of Season 3. Oh, this noise.
What did the Doctor do there? He just did some interpretive dance and it calmed down.
This guy's an actual real newsreader, apparently.
An emergency cabinet meeting was held.
So he's actually playing himself.
This morning. Further attacks
Kenneth Kendall is his name.
In the next 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Kenneth Kendall. It's like Neville.
I was told he had a really good mint cake.
It's remarkable, truly remarkable.
So I'm pretty sure there was only one war machine made for this, but they just stick a different number on the front of it.
Oh, right.
The one before was number 3, this was like number 9, so...
It's quite emotional, isn't it? Our last full series with Hartnell. Just to say, I know very little about the rest of the classic era, but I do happen to know that he regenerates in the next series. Would you rather listen to an hour of that sound or an hour of Last Chance Saloon?
Oh man, that is actually tricky. I think at least with that sound you might phase it out. Do you reckon it might be like background noise eventually?
Yeah. We haven't seen Dodo for a while, have we?
No. Look at how crisp that shot is.
That was nice.
Wow. It's the power to move 2 bins.
Well, you had a report. Heavens, it's appalling.
Good heavens, it's appalling. We should take that as a scene, a clip we could use for any stories we don't like.
Yes.
Good heavens, it's appalling.
That would be quite a good name for our channel as well, wouldn't it?
You frozen?
Me? Or the video?
Oh, I can't hear you either.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Allow it to come within 20 feet, so don't be alarmed, Franklin.
Got kicked out?
Now wait for it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can now.
Wait!
That's weird.
Yeah, don't know what happened there, it's very bizarre.
Come on, man, quickly! He's done it!
What's going on?
Sorry, I just put you in the waiting room.
It's just like a wrestling ring.
Temper.
Yeah. Oh, the sound finally stops.
Oh,
Oh, the relief.
I can hear the birds again.
Well, to coin a phrase, Sir Charles, I neutralised it. Way to get down to Cotton Garden.
Is that coining a phrase?
I neutralised.
Neutralised it? I mean, I don't think you're the first person to use that phrase.
I think it's really going to catch on.
I gather the question is, how many more of these machines are there?
It's happening again! Ah!
It's a trap. Nice background.
I love that. That is brilliant. It's so bad, it's good.
Hang on, how did it get up there?
Yeah, I almost raised that a moment ago, but I thought, you know...
Willing suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, let it go by at this stage.
Maybe they can fly. So where's Dodo?
There you are, my child. It's nice to see you so well again. And you, my boy. And away from that wretched tower.
Never felt better, Doctor. Sir Charles has been looking for you everywhere. We've got a message from him about Dodo.
Oh, yes, I've been waiting around here for her. Where is she? I very nearly left without her.
Left?
Yes, to the airport, yes. She is well, I hope.
She says she's feeling much better and she'd like to stay here in London and she sent you her love.
Her
Oh.
love.
She's
all
leaving.
around the world, through space and time.
Come again, Doctor.
What? Oh, nothing, my boy, nothing. Now, I think you both want to get away, don't you? Thank you, Polly, very much. Thank you, Ben.
Bye.
Goodbye. Run along.
Bye,
Enjoy
Doctor.
yourselves. Yes.
No goodbye.
I forgot to give him this one back.
Come on, we'll do it now.
Yeah, but I've got to get back to barracks.
Oh, come on. Doctor?
Nice. Okay, that was handled terribly. That was truly awful. That's the end of series. Okay, I'm annoyed. Sorry, no. I mean, it was a good episode overall, but what?
I didn't want to say anything until because I knew at the end of episode 2 that Dodo would never return. She just goes off to the country, and then she's like, and that's how they get rid of her. I mean, talk about a crappy way to get rid of your companion. Just be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we've got a message from Dodo. She says she's feeling much better. She's having a lovely time in the country. Wants to stay here in London. Oh, all right then.
That's terrible. So what happened? Did Jackie Lane leave the? Was that her name? Jackie Lane?
Jackie Lane.
Did she just leave?
Her contract expired midway through production. Inez Lloyd later sent her a letter apologising for her departure, saying she was a victim of circumstances.
Man, because I was beginning to think like the episode 2. I was like, actually, she's quite a good companion. You know, she's growing on me.
So, and it's worth saying just because it's so completely random. So I had to look this up just now because I had this thing in my head that somewhere I picked up the idea that obviously Dodo leaves. I knew Dodo left, but in some extended media somewhere, she dies of syphilis. And there is, in fact, on her wiki page, a section entitled, Did Dodo Die from Syphilis? It says there's a widespread belief in fandom that Dodo's fate in the novels is that she contracted syphilis. This view was taken by the long-running podcast Radio Free Skaro, some of whose hosts vociferously maintained in episode 177 that she died of syphilis in Who Killed Kennedy, a novel.
Vociferously explained.
Even David Bishop, the author of Kennedy, said in his notes to the ebook version of his novel that Dodo contracted an illness interpreted by some as a form of space herpes. All that's pretty wide of the mark, however. The idea that she died of syphilis is a common conflation of Who Killed Kennedy, where she's simply killed by the Master, and The Man in the Velvet Mask, where she contracts the genetically engineered Minsky's virus through sexual contact. However, she doesn't die from it. There you go.
Crumbs.
Gosh,
Crumbs.
yeah, I mean, it says here, Minsky, just talk about that. Minsky's virus wasn't anything close to a venereal disease and could have been contracted by drinking water or consuming food contaminated by it. Perhaps more to the point, the word syphilis doesn't occur in either novel. Dodo does have 2 sexual tragedies in Kennedy, however. She admits to having killed her would-be rapist in unarmed combat, and she's murdered while pregnant.
What the heck?
So
I didn't realise Doctor Who was this dark.
well, in the extended media, it can be, because you can do what you like in a book, can't you?
Flip. That's like the R-rated version.
So Dodo, well, I've always thought, so in my head, I was like, oh yeah, Dodo disappeared in a really unceremonious way and then died of syphilis. But turns out, no, she was killed by the Master whilst pregnant, possibly.
Gosh. Yeah, so her departure was it was even worse than Vicky's, wasn't it?
But in fairness, I mean,
We haven't got to know her that well, have we?
No, I don't feel like we really did. I mean, she appeared partway through this season. It just wasn't the same, was it?
Yeah. And
So it is a bad exit, but I was never that attached to the character.
sure, okay, yeah. I think I was maybe a little bit starting to get a bit more attached than you were, but I know what you mean. So there was that problem, and then I called it, didn't I, that there'd be a change of companions. Was the
Well,
Doctor aware they got on board, and then they all
I
left
guess
together?
they're like stowaways, are they?
Yeah,
A
maybe.
bit like that kind of that kind of sense, perhaps.
Oh, okay. But wouldn't he see them?
Well, I mean,
He
it's a
didn't see
big
Dodo.
place, isn't it? The TARDIS is a big place. Stephen crept in, didn't he? Remember?
That's true. You're right. Yeah, no, actually, no, you've solved that in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
So this is also the only time during the first or second Doctor's era when the TARDIS crew is completely replaced,
Wow.
leaving no continuing character other than the Doctor.
I think in a way it will be good to have a sort of fresh start for series 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes sense to have companions from the era again, like Ian and Barbara.
Yeah, so now we've got Ben and Polly. Any thoughts on Ben and Polly? I mean, we've not really had a chance to see them as companions as such, but any thoughts on them from the story and what you think they might be like?
They had some good moments, didn't they? As you pointed out, like his good acting when he was trying to get her to see what was going on, and then her humanity kind of breaking through, even though she was possessed by the AI. Yeah, I think I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Well, good. There we go. Well, we'll see what happens when we get to season 4 with those guys then.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on sort of just the general wrap up of the final episode? You know, wrapping up the story.
It felt a little bit neat in some ways with the enclosure, and then I mean I quite like that, the Doctor climbing in, but then I like the idea that the machines that were then sort of turned against the AI. But how did it get up the tower?
Yeah, exactly. No, you've got to suspend your disbelief a bit on those things, I think.
No, exactly.
I can't remember. There's been a few stories, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which ones, where the ending has come a little bit easily and abruptly, I felt. So the Doctor kind of said in this, we'll have to see whether my machine can face off against Votan. But it literally just goes in and blows the place up, you know, and there's no real kind of confrontation at the end. And I think probably what would have been better as a finish would have been to have the Doctor confronting Votan and having sort of the sentient AI talking to the Doctor, although
they never interact really, do they? Apart from through Dodo.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, it probably wouldn't, although they would have had to have done it differently throughout the story, because I think the way Votan speaks is very laboured, isn't it? It takes him a long time to say anything. So it wouldn't have been very engaging to have a character kind of in dialogue with Votan. But I think if you'd done the AI so that it spoke in a more normal way, that would have been a better way than just the machine going in and blowing it up. Yeah. There's been a few stories. There's been one or two other stories where I felt that's the case, where there's just been a very quick resolution and we're like, oh, that's it, and we're done, and we're back to the TARDIS.
No, that's a good point.
It's not just a problem in this one, but
yeah. So the last we see of Dodo is when she goes to sleep, and he says she'll be fine in 48 hours or something. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
So you knew at that point.
I knew at that point.
Cool. Goodbye, Dodo.
She's gone. See ya. I almost mentioned it as well. I almost said at the end of episode 2, I was, debating whether to say, look, actually that's the last time we're going to see her. But I thought, actually, I'll wait to the end, because then that's the natural point, I suppose.
Yeah. Because the thing is, even if you don't think she was the best companion, you've got to have closure.
But it's just not very realistic again, though, isn't it? I mean, Doctor Who, realistic. But it's that if you had... There's always the question of why would you leave behind the life that the Doctor is